I go back with Jayne far enough that I don't remember when it was. Jayne was thoughtful. She was the quiet leader whom would listen carefully, and at some point in the conversation, she would say, well, this is where I'm coming from.
She was amazing. She wanted to listen to people's stories. She wanted to hear. She cared.
From the moment I met her, it was very clear to me that not only was she a person who was skilled at what she did in terms of her leadership in the affordable housing work that she was doing, but also in her love for the mission.
She cared a lot about people, and you saw that in terms of the way she worked with her own staff, in terms of how she treated other people who worked with her in various capacities, and I think that same care for the residents. So I think what it all comes down to, it's about people, and treating people with respect and making sure their lives work.
I miss that dynamic personality of let's get together and get it done. She just had a drive. She was passionate about what she felt that Spokane Housing Ventures could do and what the community could do, and she had the ability to bring people together to do it.
In many cases, people, whether they're physically disabled, whether they have mental health problems, whether they're seniors, whether they're large families, in addition to just having the basic needs of shelter, they need to have their lives stabilized so that they can grow, that they can progress, and perhaps our housing is a stepping stone to something even more wonderful. And she recognized that, and that was why she would reach out to provide for those needs of our tenants.
I was homeless for over 5 years. My husband of 17 years went behind my back and filed for divorce. And then my life went downhill. I got into a really bad depression, and that's when I started using drugs. It's not fun being out there on the streets being a druggie. People would always look down on you and think, well, she made her choice. A lot of us do make our choices. But then there's a lot of people out there too that have mental illnesses. When you have no place to go, you walk around and just do what you can do just to survive. If you haven't lived on the streets, you just don't know where people come from. You don't know that life. You have to live it to know what people like us go through.
People need support services at their level of need and at their desire of need in order to remain safely housed. Jayne was the lady that would reach out to her friends at Frontier Behavioral Health to say, how can we bring your staff to our housing programs to support our tenants?
I think she was driving towards making a better life for people, making them aware of opportunities, giving them opportunities, get back on their own 2 feet to where they in turn could help someone else.
I decided it was time for me to go to treatment. I wanted a better life for me and for my children so I could help take care of my kids. I ended up into the Miriam's house, and the Miriam's house helped me get into the Spokane Housing Venture place here at Pioneer Park Place. I started volunteering at the Hope House. I volunteered there for 2.5 months. And one day, one of the staff there asked me if I would like to get hired on and have a job there. And on June 7th, I got hired on. And then my 18-year-old son, Nico, and my 25-year-old son, Nilton, they showed up over here in Spokane to come and see me. That was the best feeling in the whole world, get to see my sons and my grandson. And I took him in and I showed him where I worked. And my oldest son, Junior, he goes, oh my God, Mom. He says, look at you. He says, you used to be out there homeless. And he says, you're helping all these other homeless women. And he goes, I'm so proud of you. And it gave me such a good feeling because I'd made so many promises to my kids before that I was gonna change and stuff and get off the drugs. And I have an amazing life with all of the help that these people have given me.
When one provides housing, that's a very critical element. However, it is not the only thing that a lot of these folks need. There's a wide variety of social problems, education, for example, that people need a little help with, and to simply provide housing for them is a good thing to do, but it's not the way to raise folks up
Because a lot of these folks really had distrust for the system, so they weren't going to be knocking on anyone's door saying, hey, I'm in need of mental health services or I'm in need of substance abuse services. Jayne was incredibly creative and supportive in ways that we could connect with these folks, and we quickly became part of their community and had an opportunity, once people got into housing, to then focus on the things that had been barriers in the past.
Jayne was the real deal. The ability of an organization like them to come in and do the work they do, which is really hard work. They make our community a better place to live, better for our friends, our family. For the future of this community is hinged upon work that Spokane Housing Ventures does.
One of the things that she emphasized to me was the importance of securing funding for supportive services. And she said, Fred, I want you to promise me that you're not going to just focus on giving people a place to call home. Once you've got a roof over their head, you're also going to secure the funding so that Spokane Housing Ventures can provide supportive services to our residents. And I told her, Jayne, I will do that. Moving forward as the executive director, I will make that a priority.
Government funding has been cut back enormously in recent years. Philanthropic dollars or personal contributions fill a void. When you give to a good organization like Spokane Housing Ventures, it's an investment, because it's an investment in the humans who live in the housing and improving their futures.
If folks are in need, and as affordable housing owners and managers and developers can help, and we should, we're in a position to provide opportunity. And that's the way I like to look at it, is providing opportunity, not just a handout, but ladders of opportunity to work up and out.
Things were really stretched on all of our local jurisdictions, state and federal resources, and I think it's really easy to cut the funding to people that you put your head down when you walk by, and the people that you don't understand. And so here we are now with people, a lot of people don't have housing, but they also need more than just the housing.
It's the biggest difference in the whole world, is to have that supportive services out there. A roof isn't enough in your life, because if you're a recovering drug addict, alcoholic, whatever, you really need more support. You need that outpatient treatment. You need counseling where you can stay off of all this stuff and stay off of the streets, because it's not easy. It's not an easy life. I'm just thanking God every day that the Spokane Housing Venture had given me an opportunity and a second chance at rebuilding my life.
It's a very heart-centered operation, and that's where Jayne was coming from. She had a heart of gold, and she cared dearly about each resident. You know, we come from a point of goals and meeting our objectives and financial sustainability, and in the midst of all that, we never lose sight of it's about heart and taking care of the people who are less fortunate.
Bringing client-based services, not we have a program that does this and it's got to help you, is less expensive than other forms of support and is an incredible diversion from those other systems. So it saves money in healthcare costs and unreimbursed care. It saves criminal justice costs. It saves wasted lives. This is a logical, rational way to provide financial assistance. If you know Jayne, what better way for me to say thanks for her service for many years than supporting a fund that's in her name?